Your voice, your opinion, your community. Fact TV, free speech, protected.
Are you sick of looking at Netflix and you don't know what to watch?
So many movies out there, you don't know which ones are good, which ones were bad.
You curious about what's out there?
I'm Joey Powers.
I'm Don Trettler.
This is the best pictures.
The ones you don't want to miss.
Hit it. Say hello to my little friend.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
Winners go home and prom queen.
English, motherfucker, do you speak it?
Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
I don't deserve this. Deserves got nothing to do with it. No sequel for you.
Hi, and welcome to another edition of the Best Pictures / Best Pictures. I'm one of your hosts, Joey Powers.
Hey, and I'm Don Trettler. Welcome to the show. We're going to talk about baseball and movies.
And football.
And a little football.
The NFL opened this weekend, and college did as well. College actually opened a couple of weekends ago. A lot of upsets in college football this weekend. Like 6 top 25 teams lost.
Wow.
Bellows Falls won again this past Friday against Fairhaven pretty handily, from what I was told.
That's cool. They should be playing schools of that size. They shouldn't be playing schools that are much bigger than them.
No.
It's not cool.
Yeah. So what's going on with the Mets, though? They're getting a lot of flack from people
Man.
How big of a lead did they have at one point?
I don't know. I want to say 6. You know, they were up, and I think since the All-Star break, the Braves have just been bananas. They've been playing like world champions. I mean, I guess that's the best way to play it, to say it. And the Mets have been playing okay. As I was telling you, the last 3 series they played. They played Washington, who's in last place in the East. They played Miami, who's second to last place in the East, and they played the Pirates.
Miami's in front of somebody?
They are in front of Washington.
Oh,
they got pitching.
Yeah.
They have
right.
Miami has pitching out the wazoo. They just can't hit right now. And then Pittsburgh Pirates, who are last in the Central. The Mets have played 3 series. They've gone 5-4.
That's pretty rough.
They're supposed to have the easiest schedule in baseball right now, coming up to the final push for the playoffs.
They're blowing it. They're giving it away. I mean,
you know what they did is they lost. I don't know what happened with Washington. I was away that weekend, but they played Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh beat them the first game of the series. Mm-hmm. Then the Mets came back and creamed them the next 2, and they just did the same thing against the Marlins. So I don't know. I don't know what the heck is going on. I think they have 21 games left. If they win 11 of the 21, they will have won 100 games. That's pretty good.
That is pretty good. That's hard to imagine not making the playoffs, winning 100 games.
Right. So they're probably going to make it. But, I mean, ideally you'd like them to win the division so that they get a week off, I think, right? They get the series off. And you don't want them to have to play in one of the wild card games because they could get beat. They could get knocked off by some ridiculous team, you know.
I'm actually going to take a look at that right now. As far as the wild cards in each conference or each league, Tampa Bay's got it right now. Tampa Bay and Seattle would be the 2 in the American League. Seattle, that's kind of a surprise to me. But Toronto's right there. Toronto's like literally right there, like a half a game back.
It's a good team.
And then Atlanta, obviously. Oh wow, yeah, you guys are both in the playoffs. I mean, Atlanta's like 9 games in front of the second wild card team.
They could very well win 100 games this year.
Yeah. So Philly's second at 78-62. Atlanta's first at 87-53. So I mean, you guys, both you and the Braves have a healthy lead in the wild card department. So obviously the Yankees would be the same way in the American League if they were to falter and somehow Tampa Bay came back. But like I said, it's funny. Everybody's talking about the Mets, and it's like the Yankees had like a 16-game lead,
right.
And as of Friday evening, that was down to 3.5. You know, that's a pretty significant drop.
How have the Yankees done their last 10 games?
I just checked now. Well, it does, but I'm on the...
Well, you know, because I was saying to you before, when the Yankees, you know, you were saying that the Yankees were kind of swooning about a month back, and I said, well, you want to go through your swoon in the middle of the season. You don't want them to, fall apart at the wrong time. And that's what I was afraid of with the Mets. The Mets are playing so good all year long. I said, geez, I hope they don't,
So they're
use the
6-4 in their last 10. But it seems like every couple of days when I look at their last 10, it's always like 5-5 or 6-4 or 4-6.
Yeah.
It's like it's been that way since the All-Star break. And that's when our lead began to plummet. Luckily, like I said, we took the last 2 of the series against Tampa. So we're back up to 5.5. But Toronto's right there at 6 games out, so it's still pretty tight.
Well, maybe they'll get hot at just the right time as they're going into the playoffs. And that's what I'm hoping. The Mets get their slump out of the way, and then they get hot again. They heat up during the playoffs because they've got the pitching. They could match up against...
They definitely have the pitching. There's no question about that. Like I said, Stanton did come back finally, and he has homered the last 2 games, so that's a good sign. He's definitely healthy. And Judge has just been an absolute beast, I was telling you before the show, I can't see how anybody would not vote for him for American League MVP.
Well, they do have Ohtani's out there.
Ohtani's got 34, 87 runs batted in, but his average is really low. It's something like a 260s.
Oh.
And like I was saying, Judge is top 5 in the American League in batting average and hits. He's first in the bigs in home runs, runs batted in, and runs scored. And I'm sure he's probably first in the bigs in slugging percentage too. So
right.
It's really hard, especially being on the first place team. Because what's the Anaheim? I don't even know what Anaheim is. They're not.
Oh, they're lousy.
They're not in contention.
No.
So I think that should account for something. I think for the most part it generally does. I think there's been 2 cases, 3. I think because I think Stanton won league MVP when the Marlins were in last place. But I know Andre Dawson in 1987 won league MVP when the Cubs were in last place. And in 2003, Alex Rodriguez won league MVP in Texas, finished in last place. So for the most part, whoever they're voting for is generally one of the best players on a contender.
Right.
So Ohtani, yeah, I know he pitches and hits, which is unheard of nowadays. But still, your team's almost 20 games under 500, and Judge's team's 30 games over 500. So I think that should count for something.
Right.
Well,
here's something interesting I wanted to bring up while we're talking about this and how they're going to take things into consideration, and some of the awards like Cy Young and stuff. Somebody turned me on to this. It's like a documentary site on YouTube. I think they're called Dork Nation. Okay. They did a 4-part. This sounds incredibly boring, but I thought it was so interesting. They did a 4-part series on Dave Stieb.
Oh my God!
Who was like the ace pitcher for
Toronto, right?
Toronto.
Yeah.
They were a pretty new team.
Late 80s, early 90s, probably, right?
And they lay out some stuff. They show how close this guy was to pitching the no-hitters. How close he was to Cy Young. And basically they introduce evidence and say, this guy was ripped off. And then it comes all the way out full circle to the end of his career where they start talking about Hall of Fame. I'm a National League fan. So now they've kind of mixed the leagues and everything. So
right.
I know a little bit more about American League than I used to, but I didn't really think that much. Dave Stieb, I was like, so he's Toronto Blue Jays guy. Mm-hmm. This is, not only do I recommend this 4-part series.
It's called Dork Nation?
I think it's put out by these guys called Dork Nation because it's all like stats and things like that. It was freaking amazing.
Stuff like that interests me.
And then I started to watch. They have another one that talks about the history of the Seattle Mariners. So I'm kind of like midway through that. But here's where my football thing comes in. They have one on the Atlanta Falcons.
Oh, God. I don't know if I want to watch that.
I wanted to point this out to you. Oh, because it's super interesting. So
I bet
you would
it
get
is.
a big kick out of it.
I bet it is. I probably know everything that they're talking about, so...
They had a couple other ones. It was actually I went to go visit some friends, and somebody showed me a couple of their little documentary shorts, and then they said you got to watch the Dave Stieb, and when I did, I was just blown away.
Yeah, I remember Dave Stieb. I think Dave Stewart was a pitcher on that team as well.
Yeah.
That was one of those teams that you're like, how did they only win one World Series with all the talent they had on that team? They had Joe Carter,
right?
Paul Molitor, John Olerud, Roberto Alomar.
It was stacked.
They were loaded, and they only won one World Series. Because they lost to What, they got beat by the
Let's see, Braves.
Oh, no. They won 2. No, I'm thinking the A's only won 1.
Yeah.
But Toronto, I think, won. Didn't they win back-to-back?
Toronto beat Philadelphia, and then Toronto beat. I'm trying to think who the other team was. Was it the Braves? Probably.
It might have been the Braves.
The Braves were really good.
I think it was the Braves. Yeah, there were another team that only won 1.
Yeah.
With that team, that was absolutely stacked. I mean, look at the Hall of. I mean, 3 first ballot Hall of Fame pitchers, starting pitchers: Greg Maddux, John Smoltz, and Tom Glavine.
Yeah.
And they still only won 1 World Series.
I know.
You know, and Steve Avery was pretty good too. I don't know if you remember him or not. He was a really good pitcher, and he was a really good hitter too. All those guys were actually pretty good hitters.
When you think about it, that team was good for almost 20 years.
And they only won 1 World Series. You know, I mean, I know the Yankees. I think the Yankees only beat them once. I want to say no, maybe twice. No, because the Yankees beat them. They beat San Diego. They beat you guys. They might have beat them twice, actually. Now that
and they lost to the Diamondbacks.
They lost to the Diamondbacks, and then a couple of years later, they lost to the Marlins.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think maybe they did beat the Braves twice because the first World Series they won in '96 was against the Braves. That was the huge comeback. Because that was the first game of the series. Andrew Jones went off, hit like 2 home runs. The Braves scored like 20 runs or something like that. And then in '98 they beat the Padres. I want to say '99 probably they beat the Braves. Then 2000 they beat the Mets. And then 2001 they lost to the Diamondbacks, and 2003 they lost to the Marlins.
Yeah, that 2000 team, they were just a juggernaut.
They were so good.
The Yankees and the
so
Mets.
Good.
The Mets.
The Mets were good too, though. I mean, they were no slouch.
They weren't a great team though. They weren't like. I mean, the Yankees. If you look at that 2000 team.
Oh yeah.
I think they won over 100 games.
Loaded.
They were just a juggernaut.
And the American League was good too. Like the American League, not just the Yankees. The Mariners had some really good teams back then too.
Right.
You know, when they had A-Rod and Ken Griffey Jr. still. I mean, you know, they had some really good ball players. And yeah, they had Randy Johnson at the time too. You know, so they were pretty good. I think one year that team won like 114 or like 116 games. They had the best record in all of baseball. The Mariners and the Yankees beat them in the playoffs and won the World Series.
Well, that's another thing. Like I say, I've been watching. They had like this series about the history of the Seattle Mariners, and they said they had 4 guys. They had. I'm trying to think who it was. It was Randy Johnson, Ken Griffey Jr., Alex Rodriguez,
Edgar Martinez.
I think that's the
Edgar
4th
Martinez,
guy.
Yeah.
And they said these 4 Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
And they said that potentially these could have been the 4 best guys at their positions. They said arguably. So maybe they're not, but they're in the conversation. Every one of them. Ken Griffey
absolutely.
Jr.
Yeah.
As an outfielder,
Could you
Randy
imagine,
Johnson.
Could you imagine
as a
if Ken
pitcher?
Griffey Jr. didn't get hurt?
Yeah.
The kind of numbers he could have had. You know,
That's what they were saying. He was heading for
record-breaking numbers. I mean, honestly, the best swing in baseball history, in my opinion. I mean, just a perfect, like, so nonchalant. Like, just the way he turns on the ball, and it's just, like, perfect. And he's one of those people, he's not, like, cocky about it, but when it's gone, he knows. You know, as soon as he hits it, he knows it's gone, you know, because he just had such a pure swing.
Well, I'm wondering if he was aided by the stadium, too. Because he played in a dome.
Yeah, that could be, too. Another one, if they didn't get hurt, though, completely, like, unrelated to the Mariners, but Bo Jackson.
Yeah.
And if he chose one sport, could you imagine how good he could have been at either one? Do you remember the famous thing when he climbed up the wall and robbed the guy of a home run? He literally climbed up the wall, put his cleats in the wall, climbed up the wall, and robbed him of a home run. You know, it's like, that's unbelievable, you know?
Isn't there a famous play where he throws somebody out who made some incredible throw to the plate?
Was that Bo Jackson?
Highlight.
I
Yeah,
know.
I'm pretty sure.
I know. Vladimir Guerrero threw someone out from the wall and right to home plate, and the ball in the air, which is
that doesn't surprise
that's
me.
amazing.
But I think there's a Bo Jackson
But I'm
highlight,
sure there
too.
probably was too. I remember he led off the All-Star game one year, and I think it was a record for the longest home run hit in an All-Star game or something like that. I forget what it was, but it was insane how far the ball went. But yeah, it's just Ken Griffey Jr. though. I mean, I don't remember why he ended up going to the Reds.
Well, I think
Was it money?
I'm like in the middle of this thing, so I don't know. He hasn't gone to the Reds yet, but they're talking about the stadium. They built a new stadium, and they said the dimensions did not favor his swing like the Dome did.
What was it? The Astrodome, right? No, that was obviously the Astros. What was theirs called? I know the name
The
of
Super?
it too.
No, that's not the Super.
It's something Dome, obviously.
Oh, I should know this. I'm just watching the series. The Seattle. Is it Seattle Super?
Is it the Kingdom?
Kingdom?
Is it the Kingdom?
I think it's
okay.
Kingdom,
I think
yeah.
it is the Kingdom.
And now it's Safeco Field.
Safeco Field,
Unless they've
and it's
renamed it.
outdoor park. Yeah.
So yeah, so we got quite the race going. I mean, it's
Except for in the
both of our teams are probably going to make the playoffs.
Except for in the NL West. There's not much of a race in the NL
No.
West. Dodgers up 20 games.
Well, they thought that the Padres were going to be good, and then they traded for Juan Soto, and you thought, oh boy, this is really going to be great, and they haven't done much since.
Well, you find out about what's his name, Tatis.
Yeah.
I mean that really. That's too bad because that would be a pretty good 1-2-3 punch with him, Machado, and Soto.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive. But yeah, so not really a segue, but so the weekend box office. There's this movie called Barbarian.
I don't even know what it is.
Opened number one with $10 million. That's how low the box office has gotten. That a brand new movie opened at number one and only made $10 million. That's pretty sad. And it doesn't look like it's going to get any better anytime soon because the next really big movie to come out is Halloween Kills, which is the middle of October. So we're pretty much looking like a month of pretty much holdovers, pretty much. Like I said before the show, Top Gun is still in the top 5, and its 16th week, still in the top 5. It did pass Black Panther to be number 5 all time, domestically, with 705. And I guess it's 11th right now, internationally all time. But they said if it played in Russia and China, which it did not, it would be 8th all time at least. And
wow.
I don't know why it didn't play in Russia and China. I don't know why. The article didn't say.
Well,
but
maybe because it has to do with them attacking somebody. But although they don't in the
they
movie,
don't
say
say
who it is.
who it is. Yeah, but that could be. I don't know. But yeah, they said that it's going to end number 5 because it's not going to catch Avatar. Avatar is like 760 and
Yeah.
Maverick's like 706 right now, and it's just not. It's not going to have that much more steam to get up that high.
Well, it's a new Avatar coming at what, Christmas time?
Christmas time, yep, and
do you-
Thanksgiving is Black Panther, I want to say,
Yeah.
and before that is the
Amsterdam?
Who's the director again? David O. Russell.
Yeah.
So I mean,
I'm looking forward to
pretty
it.
much from Halloween ends through Christmas, there's going to be a lot of hits. So maybe this is just the off time because a couple of years ago, Shang-Chi broke the Labor Day weekend record for the biggest opening ever. And that ended up grossing like over $220 million domestically,
Right.
which I think was a surprise.
Man, that was already a year ago. Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Time's flying.
Yeah. So, so it's like the next month, it's not really going to be much, mostly holdovers or just small releases and stuff because everybody's probably just going to be staying at home waiting for the next big wave of movies to come out because like after the next month of nothing, there's going to be like everything.
Yeah.
Because, Amsterdam should be a pretty big hit, I would think, with that cast,
Now it seems like they're releasing stuff on all kinds of different platforms. So they're putting stuff on. It's premiering
like
on
HBO Max or
or
like Peacock or Paramount or whatever. All these different kind of.
and you can't catch them all. Something comes out and it's like if you're not subscribed to it, you're not going to get to see it when it opens up.
Right.
So I mean, the game has changed. It's not just about theaters anymore. People aren't going
Right.
to the theaters.
Right.
Everybody's kind of sitting at home watching Netflix.
Yeah,
and-
that might just be how it is moving forward from now on. I mean, it's just
right.
times have changed.
I was just looking for a movie. I was just reading about it. I saw some little short article about this movie called The Snowman with Michael Fassbender.
Okay.
It's from a few years back, maybe 2018, and they said it was an absolute bomb. They said they had, just incredible, cast, crew. I mean, it should have been a winning movie, and I think it's 5.1 on IMDb. It was just
So you're looking
a
at
huge bomb. So I thought maybe I want to see this movie, even though they said it stinks, but it wasn't on anything I could watch. You could pay money and watch it.
Did you check the library by any chance?
Oh, that's a good idea. Actually, you know what? I never heard of the movie. I was in Walmart and I saw it. And I'm like, The Snowman? What the hell is this? So you could buy it, but why buy a crappy movie? Speaking of crappy movies, I've been trying to like slowly start watching. I have a mission. I want to watch all the Nicolas Cage movies. So I've watched some bad ones.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that-
If you've watched a lot of them, you've definitely watched some bad ones because he doesn't have a whole lot of good ones.
Last night I watched one called Knowing. Have you seen that one?
Yep. That was dumb.
Dumb.
Yep.
I-
I like
I-
Rose Byrne. I think she's pretty. So
I kind
she-
of liked it. I think
made
it got
it-
like a 6.2, and I said, yeah, that
Really?
was kind of a 6.2. It kind of held my interest, but
I-
it was a little preposterous, like you say, because I was trying to put two and two together.
I watched it all because when it came out, I was with my ex-girlfriend at the time, and she was into it, so I was like, yeah, whatever. And it just got out of control, I thought, towards the end. I was just like, this is just kind of dumb.
Yeah, trying to pull that whole story together because it was interesting as a mystery, and then it got toward the end, and you're kind of like, huh?
We should do a show on Nicolas Cage. Do you remember Melissa, the intern that used to work here, Melissa Jelly?
Oh yeah.
Huge Nicolas Cage fan. She would love it. I should get a hold of her and see if she wants to be on it because she's a huge Nicolas Cage fan.
My office mate at work said she has the movie Pig on DVD, and she said she's already got it somehow on, I don't know, whatever the platform it is. She already subscribes to it, so she goes, "Yeah, I'll lend it to you." It's supposed to be good. It's the latest, really excellent Nicolas Cage. So if I get it, we'll both have to watch that.
Yes, I agree. All right, what else? I'm kind of curious. What other Nicolas Cage movies have you watched recently?
Oh shoot.
I'm kind of curious because
I picked up in the dollar store Vampire's Kiss.
how old is that? That's 80s, right?
It's pretty old. Yeah, it's
that's-
80s. It's when he was like really popular, and I think it's supposed to be a comedy because there's like a meme that they made out of like one of his responses where it just looks outrageous.
He's in Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Yeah, he's got a little.
He got a little
bit
tiny part as Nicholas Coppola, or Nick Coppola, whatever it was, and then he changed it to Cage because he didn't want to be associated, get jobs because of his name,
Right.
which is understandable.
I wish I should write them down. I wish I remembered the name of some of these movies. There was one he did where he was a cop in Alaska, and he was trying to like find like a serial killer who was played by John Cusack. It was halfway decent. It was a good movie. They kept it moving.
Really, that doesn't sound familiar to me.
No, it wasn't familiar to me. I just happened to find it, I think, on Netflix or something. Then there was another one I watched that was just dreadfully awful, and I think he's like got like full frontal nudity in it too.
God.
It's something about, I can't even remember the plot. It was so preposterous. He goes to break up. Some guy is beating up a woman in a convenience store restroom, and he goes to break it up. And then she yells at him because it had something to do with somehow his ex-wife's soul got transferred, I don't know, into this woman, or
It sounds pretty terrible.
it was horrible. And then somehow the woman had like a grown daughter, and the grown daughter gets the soul in her and seduces him, and it was just like,
What about Ghost Rider? Have you seen that?
no, I haven't.
I haven't
I haven't
either.
even seen National Treasure.
I like National Treasure in the second one, but not because of him. I like that kind of movie for some reason, which is funny because I don't like Indiana Jones, but I like the National Treasure movies, and I liked like the Da Vinci Codes and like Angels and Demons. I think that was the worst of the three. And Inferno, I really liked Inferno too. But
And you didn't like him in Leaving Las Vegas that he won the Academy Award for.
I just thought Sean Penn was better in
Oh, well, anything.
no, the one where he's on death row.
Oh, yeah. Oh, shoot.
Dead Man Walking.
Yeah.
I thought Sean Penn was better. I thought Nicolas Cage was just, I think he's just average. I've never really, have you seen like, I was just a Kiss of Death?
Oh, I'm sure I did.
David Caruso, Nicolas Cage, Samuel L.
Oh, yeah.
Jackson, Stanley Tucci. I mean, he's supposed to be this like big bad guy, and he's not believable. I mean, like, I feel like a lot of movies he's in, the acting, like, have you ever seen Trapped in Paradise?
No.
I like that movie. I hate all three of the actors in it. It's Nicolas Cage, Dana Carvey, and John Lovitz.
Oh, and they were all
They're brothers.
mental patients.
No,
No, the
they're
brothers?
they both got John Lovitz and Dana Carvey just got released on parole because they're kleptomaniacs. Or well, John Lovitz is a pathological liar, and Dana Carvey is a kleptomaniac, and Nicolas Cage is like the brother that's supposed to be responsible, and they end up going to this town in Paradise, Pennsylvania, to rob this bank and stuff like that. I mean, I like the movie, but I don't like any of the actors. You know, it's it's not a good movie. I think it would get less than a 6.
So you and Melissa must have argued about this. she must have loved Nicolas Cage. I remember I liked him. I've watched it Leaving Las Vegas a couple of times, and I
didn't think he was bad. I just thought Sean Penn was better.
It's hard to beat Sean Penn, and I think Sean Penn suffers from the same thing that Meryl Streep does. Everything they do is so excellent that basically they could give them, if they make it a movie, they could give them the award every year.
Right.
You know, I mean, I like Sean Penn that much. I think he's fantastic.
My big thing about it is he hadn't won an Oscar yet. Sean Penn had not at the time. That's why I was like, I feel like he is deserving, because he didn't win his first Oscar until Mystic River. And that was 2004. You know, Dead Man Walking was like 1995.
Right.
You know, and Sean Penn had been nominated for like 4 or 5 Oscars before he finally won. You know, and then he won again for Milk in 2009.
Did he win when he played? Oh, I can't remember what the name of it is. He played like a mentally retarded guy that has
I
a
Am
child.
Sam.
I Am
No.
Sam. He didn't win for I Am
He
Sam.
didn't, no, which is surprising because that might be his best performance. You know, I mean,
Yeah, and usually, you know, you don't. What happens is they make a joke out of it that, you know, all these people win the Academy Award for playing like handicapped people or, you know, something. I mean, Daniel Day-Lewis being one of them.
It does. It ends up happening a lot. Or if you like lose a lot of weight, like Matthew McConaughey did in Dallas Buyers Club.
Right.
You know.
Well, what do you think about that? I mean, do you think that he was good? I thought he was fantastic.
What, Dallas Buyers Club?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
Oh.
We are running out of time though, so. I don't know. Colin's gonna watch Requiem for a Dream, so maybe we can talk about that next week and see what he thinks about it. But this has been our episode of Best Pictures / Best Pictures. I'm one of your hosts, Joey Powers.
I'm Don Tretler, and these are the ones you don't want to miss.
Gentlemen, we can't fight in here. This is the war room.
Here's Johnny. Go ahead. Make my day.
Life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.